And humans have known about diatoms basically since the development of microscopes, so late 1800s, and several men dedicated a good part of their lives to studying them. This is one of them. His name was Ehrenberg. And when you had a microscope like this, they weren't really great, so they would spend long hours every day squinting into a microscope, standing up, and they would draw them. So you get these beautiful holographs of diatoms that are almost art in their own right, and they can actually, some of them can still be used today for identification. They're that good. And some of them, for a while, diatoms were thought to be animals because they moved live samples, but they've done a couple species have been DNA analyzed, their codes, and they've been found to be about a third animal, a third plant, and a third something else. So how we classify them is sort of, who knows, they're very special. Hey, there are probably people out there who would take that theory and run with it. And their taxonomy is something that's still being decided today because we had several men were looking at the same diatoms, and so we're coming up with different names. And when they first started thinking of taxonomy, they weren't always able to communicate with each other very quickly or very well. So we have several names for diatoms, deciding which one to use, deciding if diatoms still belong in the same group. Now that we have different ways of looking at diatoms, better microscopes, scanning electron microscopes, which give you really up close and really nice views, molecular genetics. There are all sorts of ways to approach taxonomy. But diatoms, humans like diatoms, and so they've actually become hobbies to some people. In the Victorian era, if you were high society, it was very good way to show your wealth by owning a microscope because they were one of the big new things at the time. And so you can actually find on eBay, say, antique slides, and someone somewhere would sit very carefully and move diatoms with a pig hair and then somehow label the slide. I have no idea how they did it. So you could sit there and look at a specific diatom with its name, and then you could sit around and talk about Stephanodiscus, and that made you were cool. So, cool. And some people today use diatoms for art, so lots of beautiful geometric shapes. This bike is made completely out of diatoms, and this one as well is all diatoms that they dye. And so someone's very carefully.
So those diatoms then are manipulated around on a slide?
Yes. Someone sits there and moves diatoms.
How big is that picture?
That would be on a microscope slide.
Oh.
I don't know these, but say this right there, that's 10 microns. Yeah, that's minuscule, so a lot of devotion. We also use diatoms in our daily lives, often without thinking about it. We use as pesticides. Diatoms, fossilized diatoms, in a lot of earlier deposits, you can get deposits of diatoms that formed a rock called diatomite, which is about 99% diatom, so it's basically glass. And so they'll use that a lot. It works well in gardens, it's used in aquariums as a filter. It's also used as a pesticide. They'll grind it up and put it in your garden, and so the insects basically breathe glass. So it's very effective, but it's not a chemical, so it's all natural. So filters, they're used for filtering wine, beer. If you go into a McDonald's in the back, they'll usually have these big tubs of something that they filter grease through from their french fries. Those are diatoms. And also they're being abrasives. They used to be in toothpaste, and they're still using some abrasives. And they're beginning to look at them for ideas for renewable energy, either through their photosynthesis or through the lipids that they create. Humans impact diatoms. We don't just use them, we also change their lifestyles by our own actions. Eutrophication, does everyone know what this word means? I'll talk about it a bit more. Eutrophication is a suite of symptoms that usually arise from adding too many nutrients to a water body, usually through fertilizer industry and other things. And you can usually tell that by algae blooms. It's usually cyanobacterial algae. But diatoms can bloom too. We habitat. We've caused some extinctions. We have some extinctions on record. A few of them come from the Great Lakes. And also invasive species are beginning to become an issue, especially rock snot, if you have ever heard of that. There's this big, beautiful diatom, Diatoms geminata, and this is a very large diatom. You can almost see it with your bare eye. And they grow on these stalks, these mucus stalks, and they'll grow in very large quantities in areas where they don't have their competitors, and then they'll die, but their stalks will still be there, so you get this disgusting stuff they call rock snot. And it's become a really major issue in New Zealand. Diomosphenia arises from mountain lakes, so cold water, and they were introduced to New Zealand and really took off. And they're finding, there's been some studies and they're finding that it's from being transported on the bottom of the felt soles of the shoes of fly fishers. So,
Has that been located in this area? Because I know there are some of the rocks along the shore. I worked at Sugarloaf Cove, and the rocks along there are starting to get really slippery. Like they're kind of goopy, but it doesn't look like that.
right, that's
I don't
pretty
think it's
strange.
been identified here in Minnesota. It's definitely coming across the United States.
Okay.
We are, as part of the DNR, it's in our prevention plans and how we
It's
do
on
our
your
jobs. Right. So as an angling education person, we already are recognizing those soft sole boots. We don't use those anymore, those felt boots. We've taken them out of our repertoire for any fisheries work, any aquatic work. We've taken those boots out to try to prevent this.
Yeah, and there are some smaller paleo projects in the United States to decide if they are found there, to help decide if they were there before.
Oh, if they were
Because they are
found in the environment.
yes, because they're a North American diatom, so they are